You stand at the threshold between quiet breath and pounding storm, toes curled over the cracked threshold of your internal battlefield. In one ear, you still hear the shriek of yesterday's battles, each regret a rifle shot echoing through your bones, each shame a jagged spark that lit your throat ablaze. In the other, you sense the soft heartbeat of possibility, the gentle pulse that whispers, your war can become your forge. Today, you will step into the very chaos you have so carefully avoided, lean into its roar, unclench your teeth against its iron bite, and learn to hammer your own piece from the furnace of your turbulence. You begin by closing your eyes and resting a hand over your solar plexus, where the tension of 1,000 sleepless nights still coils like a rattlesnake. You feel its tempered weight, the lingering echo of anxious vigilance, the bruised sensibility of a heart that once flinched too fast. You breathe deeply and let the exhale carry away the tremor of fear that still knits your chest in a vice. You whisper into the stillness, I welcome you, chaos. Let me meet your fire. In that moment of invitation, you recognize that chaos is not a stranger to banish but a companion to understand. A wild current that, if steered wisely, can propel you toward a horizon you scarcely imagine. You open your eyes and rise, stepping into a dimly lit room that seems somehow familiar, walls streaked with memories, floorboards groaning with old regrets. You walk to the center and feel the board beneath your feet, cold and resilient. You sense the room's unstable energy as if its very walls breathe with the fury of half-forgotten resentment and long-hidden longing. Instead of recoiling, you draw a breath and let your shoulders relax. You tell yourself, I do not cower from this storm. I move within it to find my balance. You begin to move, slowly, deliberately, circling the room as though tracing the perimeter of your own mind. Each step takes you deeper into the swirling maelitude of your internal landscape. You feel the air thicken with the heat of unfinished arguments, the scent of spilled dreams lingering like charred embers. You let your gaze soften, allowing the details to come into focus. The empty frame on the wall where a cherished photograph once hung, the shattered glass of a mirror you slammed in frustration, the scribbled words on a scrap of paper, I am not enough, yellowed at the edges. You breathe into the recognition of each mark, each scar on these walls of memory, and you honor their presence. In that honoring, you find that chaos loosens its clenched fist and invites you closer. You come to a stop in the room's center. You close your eyes once more, concentrating on the whirl of thoughts that threaten to drown you. You feel the old fear of overwhelm, the dread that if you lean too far into your own turbulence, you will lose yourself and never find your way back. But now, instead of resisting, you lean forward, your spine uncurled, your heart unclenched. You let the riot of memories and anxieties wash over you like a cleansing flood rather than a destructive torrent. You feel each emotion's weight fall away, replaced by the raw current of energy that drives you. You sense how this same energy once kept you alive during your darkest nights. Now it can be the flame that lights your path. You open your eyes and extend your arms, palms facing the storm around you. You let your fingers brush the air as though feeling its currents. In those currents, you sense fragments of anger, old resentments that once burned with the heat of injustice. They swirl at the edges of your awareness, no longer weapons to wield against yourself or others, but the glowing coals from which you can forge new resolve. You welcome each ember of rage, letting it pulse in your chest like a neon beacon. You whisper, I honor your fire. I will shape you into my purpose. You step forward into a shaft of moonlight streaming through a dusty window. In that beam, you feel the cold contrast of fear, an icy rime coating your spine, the dread of what might happen if you truly lean into life's unpredictability. You challenge that fear, I will not let you freeze my spirit. You bend your knees slightly, channeling that chill into your core, and then you flick your head like a horse shaking water from its mane. You let the fierce crystalline shards fall to the floor, where they melt into the earth of your being, enriching it rather than cracking it. You feel the last tremor of panic pass, leaving you grounded and clear. You walk to a small wooden table in the corner. On it lies a tarnished, dented kettle, once used for pouring tea to soothe a friend, now bowed by the weight of years. You lift the kettle and pour its cold, stale water into a basin beneath. You watch as the water stirs the dust at the bottom, raising ripples of muddy reflection. You pick up a cloth and begin to scrub the basin's sides, letting the water swirl into a murk that parallels the ebb and flow of your own thoughts. You scrub until the basin gleams, water clear and still. In that act, you sense how the chaos in your mind can be stirred to surface what hides at the bottom. Grief, shame, longing, and then washed away, leaving space for clarity and insight. You lift the basin to your face and drink deeply. The water tastes of damp earth and cold stone, reminders of the dark places you have trekked in your mind. Yet it tastes also of renewal, of a moment's pause that clears the swirl of emotions into liquid truth. You swallow until the basin runs empty and you feel the coolness settle in your chest, a calm that blooms like a quiet sunrise. You realize that forging peace requires drinking deep from the well of your own chaos, navigating each turbulent wave until you reach the calm beneath. You set the basin aside and notice an old half-burned candle beside it. Its wick is blackened, its wax hardened into jagged cliffs of ivory and gray. You pick it up and light a match, watching as the flame flickers uncertainly before leaping to life. You feel the warmth in your palm and carry the candle back to the center of the room, stepping into the darkness as though you carry the only star in the void. The flame casts long, trembling shadows on the walls, the silhouettes of your past selves, each crouched in the corner of the room. You draw close to each one in turn. The child who hid behind the sofa when the shouting grew too loud, the teenager who turned away when their first heartbreak left them raw, the adult who peeled off their mask only to find no reflection behind it. You bring the candle's light to each shadow, allowing it to flicker and dance across the faces of your younger selves. You whisper words of kindness. I forgive you. I hear you. I carry you. In that soft admission, you feel the heavy chain of regret loosen and fall to the floor, leaving the room lighter, more alive. You walk toward a narrow door at the far end. Its surface is worn, the paint peeled away to reveal the grain beneath, like the layers of protective armor you have shed over the years. You place a hand on the doorknob and feel the ache of fear clench in your fist. You tighten your grip as though you could crush the hesitation, but instead, you hold the fear, give it space to exist without judgment. You murmur, I carry you forward. In that moment, you turn the knob and step through into a new corridor of your own making, a pathway lit by the candle's glow and the fertility of your emerging resolve. That corridor leads to a long flight of stairs carved from the same wood as the room's floorboards, each step echoing with the rhythm of your heartbeat. As you descend into the lower levels, you sense the swirl of the world's noise at the top. The chatter, the demands, the siren's call of distraction. But here below, the walls are bare stone, and the only sound is your breath and the flicker of the candle's flame. You feel how the chaos you once feared follows you, but now it resonates as a companion's hymn, guiding rather than dread. At the foot of the stairs, you see an open archway leading into a cavernous space, an underground sanctuary carved into the living rock. Stalactites drip like silent metronomes, measuring your steps with their slow, deliberate cadence. The cavern is shadowed, but you see at its center a pool of still water that reflects the faint glimmers of your candle and the distant glow of an unseen opening above. You approach the pool, feeling the cool air press against your skin like an advocate for calm. You kneel and touch the water's surface. It ripples beneath your finger, concentric circles echoing outward into the darkness. In those ripples, you sense the resonance of your own pulse, how one touch can transform the stillness into movement, how your presence shapes the world in waves. You draw the candle down low and lean over the pool. You gaze at your reflection, seeing now not a fractured being hunched under old burdens, but a forge, an anvil heated by the fire you once feared, cooled by the water you have learned to summon. You stare until the ripples slow and you recall the basin you scrubbed, how you allowed the stirring of mud to surface every impurity before it settled into clarity. You breathe out and feel the echo of peace ripple through your limbs. You whisper, "I am both flame and water. I temper my blade with both." You linger by the pool, letting its hush fill you with the memory of the cave's hush. Every drop that fell from the stalactites was once part of a storm, yet here it rests in stillness. You sense that within you, too, every tempest can find its haven, every surge its stilled pool, if you but guide it with intention. You stand and retrace your steps, candle held steady. The stairs lead you back to the wooden floor above. When you emerge, the room's walls no longer feel like battlefields but like the sides of a vessel, shaped by adversity to contain your flame. The candle's light dances, half on your face, half on the empty walls that now whisper possibility rather than accusation. You set the candle down upon a small stone pedestal, its glow steady as a promise, that within your own chaos, you have found not only the furnace but the means to cool it, to harness its heat rather than recoil from its burn. You walk to the window and part the heavy drape that once blocked the dawn. A gentle light floods the room, a soft wash of muted gold that coaxes the darkness into retreat. You step forward and place your palm against the cold glass, where the warmth of the outside world glows like unspoken hope. You sense how the night storms have given way to morning's hush, not because they vanished, but because you learned to carry them, to let their echoes shape your emergence rather than define your collapse. You kneel before the candle and place a hand over its flame, not to extinguish it but to cradle it, as you once might cradle the tremor of your heart in your palm. You feel the blade of the flame's heat and sense how it was tempered by the water's cool kiss in the cavern. You whisper, "I forge my peace from the very chaos I feared." You lift the candle high, letting its light wash over the room as if sanctifying the walls that bear your history, each gouge in the wood, each crack in the plaster now a testament to your passage through fire and flood. You rise and walk forward, letting your footsteps chart a new course, one where the question is no longer, "How do I escape my chaos?" but "How do I move within it, forging from its raw material a life of purpose and calm?" You know that your day will bring fresh storms, the tall demands of work, the piercing tensions of human connection, the unbidden fear that surfaces when you doubt your own worth. But you carry now the means to face them. The basin you scrubbed, the well of still water that knows how to calm the ripples, the candle that burns unflinching amid the darkness. As you step into the world beyond the door, you feel the echo of the cavern's hush behind you and the surge of the storm's memory ahead. You greet the wind on your skin not as a threat but as a herald of transformation, the very same wind that drove you to lean into your fear, that welded your fragments into a crucible of becoming. You step forward, each foot finding its purpose on uncertain ground, each breath composed of flame and water, mercy and resolve. You walk into the day with your peace forged from chaos, a living paradox tempered by fire, cooled by water, shaped by the storms you once feared. And in that forging, you understand the secret. That chaos is not the ruin of yourself, but the raw material of your deepest creation. You carry a calm that is no longer fragile, a peace crafted from the tempest's roar, a presence honed on the whetstone of your own becoming.